You're listening to the HNC Let's Talk podcast, hosted by Dexter Brooks. Thanks for tuning in to HNC Let's Talk podcast. We partner with subject matter experts to provide candid conversations on health and lifestyle. Here at HNC Let's Talk podcast, mental, physical, spiritual, financial, and health are all connected. This episode of HNC Let's Talk podcast is sponsored by HealthNet Co. Together, we make insurance simple.
Good afternoon. I'm your host, Dexter Brooks, and I want to welcome everybody to HNC Let's Talk podcast. We do have two great guests on today. We're having Jason Shankle, and Jason is with the founder and director of Inner Self and Wisdom, and we also have Michael Acuna. Michael is a social activist as well as a musician. Let me make sure we got them tied in here. You guys with me today?
Hey, how you doing?
All right. Now, Michael and Jason are both going to be discussing. What's your topics today, guys? What vibe are you going for?
Yeah.
And so I'm going to throw a twist in there because I'm going to ask that question. I'm going to ask that question again because when I saw that, I had to ask myself, what is that? What do they mean? How does that fit into me? So can one of you answer that for me?
Yeah. So really, the reason why we named the show, what vibe are you going for? Because there's so many things that is attached to what vibes are. Vibes are energy, vibes are frequency, right? Vibe is the time, things like that. And so, there's choice in the matter in terms of, how we connect with other people. So not to just simplify it, but yeah, at the end of the day, it's like, what vibe are you really going for?
Awesome.
And then, yeah.
All right, I'm going to let you guys take it from here, and I'm going to stand back a little bit and just tune in to you guys. Go ahead and take it from here.
Right on. So, yeah, Mike. So that's where I was coming from when with the title of it. What else did you add to why? What vibe are you going for?
I think my mind goes to when we're thinking about vibes, energy, and you attract different styles of energy to yourself. So if you're going for an uplifting vibe and you're going for more of a high frequency within your vibration and the ways that you live your life, I feel like you'll attract that same energy to yourself. So. Yeah, that's kind of when I think about that title. That's kind of what I think about is just what frequency am I vibing on as far as energy, uplifting, even like my emotions and things like that.
Yeah, that's really a good point, especially when you bring up emotions and things, because how the landscape of how we interact is being heavily influenced, and in terms of this is a time also where, depression is high, anxiety. It's already a natural thing, but just to talk about that, not to say just because, we are, we have to definitely be on our points, and things like that. But, also I want to talk a little bit about depression and then how to actually, focus some of that energy and with depression, being something that is natural, right? And with the landscape of how things are changing and, anxiety rising and things like that and fear and things like that during this time, just giving a brief definition of, depression, when you have the mania, it's like the really low days, right? Right. Manic is more what I call the thinking about thinking, right? And then you have the mid in the middle. And the reason why I bring that up is because, I'm a mental health professional, and especially when we talk about what vibe are you going for, it's really, with this the time or this time that we're spending, my motto is just really wherever you find your heart, you'll find your time. So taking care of your time is actually taking care of your heart. And so when we talk about depression and anxiety and things like that, it's really the frequency and really how you recycle your energy.
Right, right.
Yeah, Mike, and then in mindset, which, tie that on in.
So, like, I guess I got a question on that as far as, like, depression and, like, where we currently are at right now within the time we're in, right? Like, with everybody being kind of isolated from one another. Do you feel that, like, there's a possibility of depression being at an all-time rise at this point? Just taking into consideration kind of the times that we're in, or do you think it's a good time to, like, kind of explore where you're at within yourself, or what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, definitely. I just think that it's just a natural, organic thing as well, that it's going to be a rise, more pressure, more rise, right?
Right.
And then, and on top of that, this is the most actually opportune time to actually spend that time on self, right? And actually making sure that, in terms of your self-care and taking care of your spirit and taking care of your mental health and taking care of, certain things that it's just, now I'm pretty sure for some people it's making them appreciative, right?
Right.
And it's definitely made me appreciative of some things.
Me too. Me too.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like right now, like, one of the things that I've really been reflecting on and really been thinking about is the time that I have with my kids and the time that I have with my family, just because I know we're both of similar spirits where we're constantly working, we're constantly on the go. And, like, of course, we both are family men, but, like, really thinking about that time that you actually get to, like, pay that intentional attention to your kids as far as conversations. And, I know you have your mom staying with you right now, and I have a lot of my family staying with me. I have my daughters right now. My brother's with me over here. My mom's been stopping in. So, like, really thinking about the community that I already kind of have built in. And that's been a blessing in itself, just being able to recognize that and appreciate the people that are currently around me,
Yeah, no, much respect to that, because that's another thing, even though my mom, has her place and things, and with all of these things going on, it's an energetic connection. You know what I mean? And then with my kids, that's another thing that, I've already had that strong bond with them, but just to also spend that time to just, get to learn different things and just going for a walk and stuff like that. I'm a nature person, so that was also something that was making me go, wow, like, this is a very an enlightening, beautiful struggle, but, nonetheless, so,
I'm going to tell you guys something that's it's really ironic that all three of us have our moms living with us. Isn't that awesome?
Yeah.
Cheers.
Yeah.
I think the thing is you have to take care of your mother. You have to take care of your tribe. And otherwise, collectivism does not have the correct or proper energy in it. Love and understanding is all enfolded in that. So, just that energy, no matter what goes on outside of your doors and other places, if you're not taking care of your chi or your inner tribe, and who you're actually connected with, you will never actually thrive to that higher energy.
That makes me, like, really to tap into, like, where we're at as a society. Like, when you really think about a society, especially here in Denver, like, we have, like, more millennials here in Denver than any other city in the country right now. So, like, we have, like, a really, like, kind of, I don't know, self-serving kind of culture. Not to say that all young people, I mean, we're relatively young, but, like, not to say all young people are self-serving, but, like, there's not really a family-based mindset in the current culture that we're kind of operating in right now. And, like, the fact that, like, all three of us are, like, really embracing family and embracing tribe and making sure that our people are taken care of, I feel like it's an important example to set, but it's also not the norm,
Yeah, unfortunately. And fortunately at the same time, because you think about it, when you're walking in a divine walk and like what we're talking about, what vibe are you actually going for, and what choices being made, like you had, spoken about, choice. What choice are we making in this energy exchange? And then also, whenever I think of the word fear, I think about, the acronym that one of my mentors had told me a long time ago. False evidence appearing real.
Right.
And whenever I see the word fear and how gripping it is, but what I will say is, it's like the best defense and offense at the same time. Whenever dealing with isms and schisms and racism and classism and things like that, no matter what you're going up against, self-care is the best weapon.
Right.
Self-care is the best weapon.
That self-care thing is an important one. I mean, like, when you're really thinking about where we're at, and like the things that we can impact right now, the only things that I feel like I can directly impact is myself and the people that I'm surrounded by. I can help them, you know what I'm saying, my family members, things like that. And it actually keeps me personally, it keeps me sane, just because I know that, I can't control all the people who are out there who are passing away from, this situation that we're currently in with the disease and everything. But I can control for the most part, I can't control all the details and all the things that happen. Sometimes things are out of your hands, but I can control like my family being provided for, food being on the table, savings, all those different things. I can do that, and that gives me, a little bit it puts my mind in a little bit at ease in any chaotic time.
Yeah, respectfully, and then that's actually that's really what I mean when I say how you recycling your energy. Because when you think about the recycle of energy, the imagery that should come up, probably for most people, is like an arrow going in circular direction, right? It's like this Tao, this constant cycling of energy. So when we say vibe, that we're talking about, it's synonymous with energy. Right? And so with these, because it's the thing with relationships, and from the relationship workshop I have done, whenever it comes to relationships, you should think about energy exchange. You can think about it. It's either you're building, destroying something, or then we have this status quo, but nonetheless, there has to be some type of grounding, some type of reality principle. So, just the recycling of energy, not to make it sound so grandiose, because it really isn't. The present is really the gift, and if you don't open up the gift, you'll never be present.
Right. Being present in the moment. I feel like even like right now, being present in the moment, like, people are in their homes right now and not able to do the regular things that they normally would do. So like, just embracing the moment, just embracing the time that you have down, and then within that, all the resources that you can like actually get to as far as, or even like things that you normally wouldn't do. Like a lot of the time I read a lot, but this time right now has allowed me to open a few books that I haven't looked at in a while, or even touch base with people that I haven't talked to in a minute, just to check in on them and see where they're at. So like I feel like being present in the moment and just kind of recognizing the moment for what it is, and not being in fear, just like kind of just accepting it and embracing the moment, even though there's some scary things happening on the outside. Like you can still control what's happening on the inside, even and spiritually.
Yeah, very much so. And then also after that piece, during a lot of these lament places that we get to in life, and even with depression, we got to think about it. There's a lot of our, creative leaders, there's a lot of our artists, other creative writers, it's just amazing how many things are born out of the transformation of healing, but also, understanding that, when you feel hurt and there's pain that comes with it, that's how you know you're doing healing correctly. One of these things, it's like, it's like the concept of touching a scab, if you bump up against something, it'll hurt by some tearing it off, but healing is similar to, it's just that endurance, right?
Right.
And there's a lot of, because I love to write, and even if you're not introverted, and like what you were talking about earlier, with these creative, with the space. What are we going to do? What are you going to do at this time? What are you going to do with this? What are you going to do with your heart?
Right.
Right.
Yeah, man. That's something that I've been kind of exploring. Like, this downtime has definitely got me, like, kind of in my headspace, really thinking of prioritizing the things that are important to me and the things that, that make me but don't define me. Like, and I think sometimes, like, as career-minded, focused people, we can be defined sometimes by our careers. And, like, I think that's an important thing. Like, I'm very ambitious and love the things that I do, but also thinking about who I am outside of that space, as a dad, but also just as a communal member or a person existing on this earth. Who am I?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the ultimate question, right?
Right.
Yeah, doing this, the beautiful struggles of life, and and it's interesting. Like, another thing that, as I listen to you, during that, when I'm having these deep thought moments, I thought to myself, well, if you've gone through something and experienced something that you have not learned a lesson, that means you're still in class. Because the most difficult test to take is the test you don't know you're taking. So these are the moments, right? The clock doesn't go backwards; it continues to go forward, even when life ends for some people, unfortunately, right? And however their walk was, right? Just taking care of that spiritual part and knowing the difference. So these are moments that continues with the clock. Going forward, what's the choice, right?
Right.
What's your choice?
Right, man. Yeah, man. One thing I've been embracing, man, is just the fact that, like, the time that we in 2020, and even with this being like something that is it's a world pandemic. The things that we're experiencing right now, it's on a global level. It's not just regional. It's not just national. It's global. So, like, there's never going to be this time that we're living in right now is history. This time will never be repeated again. And I think, like, yeah, it is a scary time, but also know that you're living in a time that, nobody else will necessarily experience. Hopefully we get through this sooner than later, but, this is a time in history that will be remembered. And, like, also, like, me and you were talking a little bit earlier, talking about those silver linings, and finding opportunities and hardships, and I think that, like, if you are somebody who engages as a creator, or somebody who engages as an entrepreneur, I feel like there's a lot of opportunities that are on the table that could be taken advantage of if you're paying attention, because everything being crazy, it leaves everything kind of disorganized, but there's also opportunities that could be had from all this kind of chaotic business shutdown, people not having access to different things. I mean, it could be as simple, as an entrepreneur, it could be as simple as maybe like making some meals and providing for somebody, or even selling meals and things like that. Like, that's the entrepreneur spirit, or the creative spirit, just creating something artistic that people want to engage in, and it uplifts their spirit a little bit. I think this is a time that you can really kind of dive into a variety of different things of what it means to be isolated, but also what it means to take advantage of downtime in a down situation.
Yes, very much so. Very much so. Man, I second all of that. Because also during this time, it's opportunity. It's also opportunity. And a lot of the things that you're talking about, and the focus of energy, once again, right?
Right. It's all how you look at it. It's perspective. Yeah, it's perspective. You look at it as a terrifying, scary thing, then that's what it'll be to you. If you look at it as an opportunity for growth, spiritually and otherwise, that's what it could be to you, for you as well.
Yeah, very much so. and the creativity and the things that come out of this. There's a lot of beautiful things that come out of this, things like that, changing the worldview and a lot of stuff, you know. And like you said, this is a place in history and time, you know, a moment, right?
Yeah, man.
How we're going to spend this time. So, man, this was good. So I want to go ahead and, you know, actually I want to give a shout out. You know, known Mike for quite a while, and you know, whenever we sit down, you know, it's called, you know, I'll hit him up and be like, let's kick some philosophy, you know, and you know, just to sit here and chop it up about energy in this show, you know, I wanted to say, you know, rest in peace to one of my best friends, Mario Flowers, because, you know, a long time ago, you know, known my whole life, just, you know, talking with him and things like that, we would always go, you know, we need to kick some philosophy, like, kind of like what we did today. So, you know, I wanted to mention that. So when we sit and kick philosophy like this, you know, that is, you know, very dear to me, and why that term is, you know, whenever we use that term, you know what it's about. And then, Mike, if you got a shout out to somebody, to, you know.
Yeah, man. I got a shout out to my folks. I feel like, you know, our conversations about like people who have transitioned that we used to have similar conversations with is kind of what got us here to this point. So one of the brothers two of the brothers I should say that I'd like to shout out is a mentor of mine as I was coming up in the artist community and also in the advocacy community, Zen. Who he was a radio host in Houston, Texas, but he was from Denver, Colorado, actually as well. But yes, then and also Kokai Denali, and he was a brilliant musician, artist, and advocate in the community who had been doing work for years, and they both passed away in a car accident about 4 years ago. And both of those brothers were people who sharpened my sword through conversation and dialogue, and you know, I really like to, you know, give a shout out to them, you know, pay some homage to their ancestors and who they currently are on the other side, because I know those brothers are doing some awesome work on the other side as well. So, yeah, I'd like to give a shout out to them.
Right on. So, I guess in addition to that piece,
I got a question for you guys.
Talk about.
Yeah.
So since we on this lockdown of this, what are they calling it now these days? Is it lockdown or?
Yeah, good question.
You know what?
Stay-at-home order. Touch base on Mike. I know that you are a musician and an artist, and when Jason mentioned you, I was like, okay, who is Mike Acuna? You know, I'm like, okay, so I go out to Instagram and I jump on Facebook and I'm like, damn, this dude is out there everywhere. It's like, you know, it's like, whoa, man. So I was like, that's pretty cool.
Right on.
He's got a lot going on.
Right on, man. Yeah, it's been you know, actually me and Jason, we ran across each other on the journey. He was doing work over at Denver University, and I had just started doing some things over there with the Black Male Initiative, and Jason was writing the curriculum and heading that over there. So, yeah, like, and then like we had met each other like before the Black Male Initiative, actually briefly through a gentleman named Jonathan McMillan. But from that, you know, like I've learned a lot about what he does within his career, and then within my career, I do a lot of activism within my art and, you know, creating like music with my band and things like that. So, yeah, like I'm out in the community on a variety of different levels and just trying to connect with like-minded folks that I could build with.
And that is really nice, man. And your I guess your name that you go by.
Yeah, so like my name, Ill7, Illuminated 7. You know, that's the original where it comes from. Shorten it up, Ill7, or AKA Acuna Black, and that's another. I have a project that's out by Acuna Black presents Creative Vintage Dreams. So like that project that I currently have out, I changed my moniker a little bit just to embrace who I am within myself. That's my last name, you know. So Acuna, and then my family's being Latino, so I'm the darkest one in that tribe. So I embrace that blackness. So Acuna Black is the other alter, the alter.
So the first takeaway show.
This is a little bit of Mike Acuna, people.
Come leave a little bit brighter,
the Acunas,
more uplifted. I feel like everybody can vibe on that. Feel good energy.
Life made for the living. Man, I'm so driven. Opening my eyes, can't you see that I'm winning?
With your band.
Yeah, Brass and Gold Society. So yeah, I've been playing with Brass and Gold Society for like the last year. We have an album getting ready to come out, hopefully pretty soon. We're finishing some recording on it right now with some great artists from Denver that'll be featured on there as well. But yeah, I have a band that I play with, Brass and Gold. It's a mixture of jazz, hip hop, a little bit of funk. And within that, we've been doing quite a few shows around the city. And then outside of that, I do a lot of, just straight up hip hop shows with my DJ, Select a C. Yeah, the art and the music and the activism in my mind are all one. I just utilize different platforms to get different messages out, the same message out, just on different platforms.
Yeah, I love that. I love that piece. Because even, and also in addition to that, because, one of my favorite pieces is Nina Simone, and I'm a creative writer. I'm actually going to be releasing this Crowns of Shattered Dreams, as I've already talked to you about quite a while ago.
Yeah.
Wrapping up that, and a pen name Black Azar, and this project really is just it's one of the, I would say it's just one of the best pieces that I've written. People that know me personally need to, be confident in that and express that, know that I just love being a composer. And and Crowns of Shattered Dreams is going to be released like mid-April. So I'm putting some additional pieces to it. And, man.
That's awesome, man. Jason, your book that you're writing are you going to have it online as well?
Yeah, it's already online. I have a website. It's blackazar.com, BLACKAUSAR.com. I have it online. It's in tattered covers, Second and Charles, and just around this time, just finishing up this poetic piece that I have. Just April would be fitting to do that, and then, because I do a lot of community stuff as well, and just continuing community work, just doing my part. Go ahead and turn it to Mike for the last words, and until next time. Okay.
So, right on. So the vibe you on, that's one of the things that in this moment I've really been like concentrating, really been focused on, just really thinking about who I am in these moments. And as I thought about that, one of the inspirations for a lot of the work that I've done, and one of the inspirations for a lot of the ways that I actually live my life in mindfulness is from a gentleman named Thich Nhat Hanh. He has this great quote where he says, sometimes your joy is the source of your smile, but sometimes your smile can be the source of your joy. And to me, and what I take from that personally is, sometimes you automatically are happy, and that puts a smile on your face right away. But it's those times when you're not at your peak. Who are you? Sometimes you got to fake it until you make it. You got to smile until you find that joy. And it's really a mindset in really exploring who you are in yourself. So, I leave these words to the folks who are at home or listening to this. Really explore, that spiritual growth within yourself, and really think about who you are within these moments, because it is a hard time, but we don't get a lot of time to really kind of reflect on ourselves and look on ourselves. So I hope that everybody grows strong within this moment.
Now, I'm going to say one thing here, and that one thing is I'm going to still say give a shout out to our first responders. Because like I said earlier, since I'm from the healthcare field, I know how difficult it is to be working in the healthcare industry under these type of circumstances. So I'm definitely going to give them a shout out.
It's got to be stressful. Yeah, definitely. Jason, you want to hit them up with the first response?
Oh yeah. Shout out to the first responders, and and also to all the therapists and all of the healers and the empaths that do a lot of this community work, whether they have a degree or not, and just but yeah, my heart goes out to them, and then that energy, because in essence, we it's being in a healer role, right? In essence.
Right.
So shout out to them, and just for everybody to be strong. For everybody to be strong and recycle this energy in a way that's going to uplift them. So, yeah.
That's right.
All right, gentlemen. I do want to thank both of you for joining us today on HNC Let's Talk podcast. I do look forward to some more podcasts in the future. Mike, you're welcome to join at any time. Jason, you are always on my calendar. And with that being said, you guys have a great night. And thanks for listening to HNC Let's Talk podcast.